So before this video begins, I just wanted to thank you for 50,000 subscribers. You know, it's nice to know that 50,000 people are no longer Nicholas's. What great timing to hit 50k, because of course in the comics the Commonwealth had 50,000 people within it. And with the return of Maggie, we'll no doubt see something to do with the Commonwealth. Of course, whenever the finale will actually air, and I'll have a video on that out sometime next week. No, but thank you, 50,000 people are now fucking cool. Subscribe to not be like Nicholas. Let the detox go through your veins and you will become a Rick. Alright, let's get on to the video. So, what's the point in this video? What new stuff could we possibly have on Rick Grimes? Yes, Maggie's returning soon and we're gonna get some new stuff on that, but what about Rick? Well, to understand this, let's go back to the very beginning where Andrew Lincoln decided to announce that he was leaving The Walking Dead. In other words, where he'd ruin all of our fucking lives. San Diego Comic-Con, July 2018.
This will be my last season, playing the part of Rick Grimes.
PTSD.
Now hear me out, please. I love this show. It means everything to me.
So why don't you fuck?
But I suppose what I wanted to say is that my relationship with Mr. Grimes is far from over.
Do you remember watching it back in 2018 and thinking to yourself, what could that possibly mean? If you leave The Walking Dead, surely you die. Maybe Rick joins the cast of Fear, maybe he just leaves and has his own spin-off. Or maybe a helicopter saves him and he has his own movie trilogy. Yeah, I didn't get that last one either. Ever since the rumours started in early 2018, we were all so worried about the show. How could it possibly go on without Rick Grimes? We'd all figured that the reason for Rick leaving is, Andrew Lincoln probably just misses his family and wants to be with them more. Just recently, Chandler Riggs came out and actually said he was seeing Carl more than he was seeing his real children. So of course it's understandable why he decided to leave, but why season 9? You see, these rumours actually started at the beginning of season 8 in early 2017 when it was being filmed. Because that's when Andrew Lincoln was saying how tired he was of being Rick. Back when he started in season 1, he missed his family then. In season 2, he missed his family. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But 8 was when Carl Grimes died. Almost as though Andrew Lincoln himself saw the foundation of Rick Grimes' character get taken beneath him. Don't you think it's convenient how Andrew Lincoln leaves and there's a movie deal for him? It's a universal movie. So now think about The Walking Dead season 10, what's just happened, what's about to happen. The end of the Whisperer War. Think of all the cool shit that has happened. Negan kills Alpha, the Pikes, the Hilltop Battle, Daryl versus Beta. Negan becomes a Whisperer, Beta's herd. It all happened without Rick. Throughout every single cool thing that happened, at the back of my mind after an episode is always, Rick could have been there. And I think that's the case with most of us. I mean, there'll be some people trying to be different saying it's better without Rick Grimes. Well, you can fuck, unless that's your actual opinion. But don't try and be different. His presence isn't in the show anymore. It does feel empty sometimes. You don't have to be all perfect about it. It's like if your dog kills a bird. Yeah, you love the dog, but you got to know when to fucking tell it off. You wanted to see Rick Grimes in the Whisperer story arc, so why didn't it happen? Well, let's just go back to how he actually left. Let's look at that. He blew up the bridge that he made to stop a massive herd of walkers from getting to the other side, and in doing so, he destroyed the herd. Now, at what point in the story, apart from this point, did we see a huge herd? Rick Grimes should have left, destroying Beta's herd. In the comics, they lead this massive herd into the ocean. In the show, it will likely be through Oceanside. Rick Grimes should have stayed through the Whisperer story arc and left destroying something that actually mattered, not some random walkers that had absolutely nothing to do with it. Have you ever realised how out of nowhere and meaningless this horde was? It was just one horde. What's to say that after Rick did this, another horde didn't just come along? His injury was based off of an accident. I truly believe if it wasn't for the CRM storyline, he would have still went through the Whisperer story arc. He was meant to go out, destroying Beta's herd. That way we would have had him through this massive part of the story. It's pretty clear that all the shows, all the movies are going to join up in the end, and it's going to be one big event. And at that point where Rick's comic death would happen, of course the showrunners have said they will adapt it. I don't think Rick's even eligible for his own death, because it's got to be someone vulnerably shot down who was there through it all of the show's main events. And that's why I think it's going to be Daryl or Carol, because Rick was not there for the Whisperer story arc of all things to miss. And so I truly believe the real, original plan was to have Rick blow up the bridge on Beta's horde. That was when Rick was actually meant to leave the show, so why didn't he? Well, of course, I've got this new massive underlying storyline with the CRM. They've planned for these movies, so just look at how the herd's actually going to be dealt with. Who sent Michonne away from the show? Virgil. Walking Dead Theory on Instagram reminded me that in the Season 10 mid-season finale, when the Oceansiders capture Virgil, they say he was messing around with the security system.
This is the guy. This is the guy. He saved my life at the library. How you doing, pal?
And also the guy that's been sneaking around messing with the security system. In the past, we've hung men for less than that.
Shut up. We see in the trailer for the finale that Virgil returns to Oceanside. So if he tampered with the security system and he's the only one at Oceanside, if he hears anything about this horde, he could set off the Oceanside alarm and bring the horde towards him, towards the ocean, and he'd probably die in the process. Do you remember in episode 13, Michonne's final episode, it didn't really make much sense that Virgil was allowed to stay alive. Michonne spared him, but for what? Virgil immediately became really redundant, so I was actually happy to see him in the finale trailer, because I know this is how he'll redeem himself, and of course it's likely he will mention Rick. It'll be good for him to have some kind of use. Now, him redeeming himself by doing this, I actually think it's likely Virgil does die in the process. Virgil would have all these walkers coming to him, and so I think he'd go out in a similar way to Gabriel's comic death. Of course, I'm not going to say he's going to get it, but in a very similar way to that. I just don't see him living past this point. I think he's got to die right here. Then again, after this point, like I said, he probably will mention stuff about Rick. Judith is yet to say something. It was really weird. She was like written not to say anything more than she did. Like I said, I got it out first because it was a child's perspective and she didn't want Daryl to leave, but she proceeded to not say anything, so that was most likely being saved for Virgil to give him some more purpose. I've really liked Virgil ever since we saw him in the mid-season finale. I mean, I know he's now done some bad things, but he's coming back, so it's likely he could even be a common character now, which would be cool, but I just don't see that happening. I do think essentially he's going to be a big help to the Whisperer War like he was originally meant to. But about how Rick should have left the show, do you think this is how it should have happened? Should he have left through Beta's horde? Of course, vote in the poll and comment down below. Click the like button if you enjoyed this video, it genuinely helps me out and will get this video more seen. If you did enjoy it, then make sure you check out my review for episode 15. I talk about things you may have missed and what deaths were foreshadowed. A big character is said to die in the finale, and this episode proved that, so make sure you go and check it out. And make sure you check out my latest video, my official trailer breakdown for the Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 trailer. Suggests that things aren't looking good for Morgan. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead and the first to see my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.
Maybe ain't gonna find nobody. Maybe that's a good thing.